Hello everyone, I'm Ayodeji. I'll be teaching you how to make very responsive buttons using just HTML and CSS. So here's an example of what we are trying to build in this video. As you can see, when you hover on the button, you get a transition that is cool like this. So this is very engaging for an end user, and so basically this is what we'll be trying to do. So you have to kind of like visualize the concept. So looking at it, that's the concept of something is outside and it's flowing inside when you hover on the button. So I've created empty HTML and CSS files, which will be what we are going to use. So let's quickly write our markup. Title will be cool button. Then we have our button here. Cool button too. So let's not forget to link our CSS file. The rel attributes must be specified as style sheet, else it will not be linked. Then the href is the CSS file you are trying to bring in to your browser at runtime. So we have this. So I'll bring the editor a bit down here so you see everything that happens. And let me start this on the live server. Yeah, there it goes. You have our button. So I want to centralize the button. So let's just do a text align center. Yeah. Button is centralized. Okay. So let's put a class name here. Class that says button. So use your class selector here. I want to bring the button a bit down. So let's do a margin top. A margin top of about 1 em. Yeah, the button goes down. Then I want to remove some default styles that the browser sets for, like you will notice the background color for the button is gray, so I'm going to just set it to white. Yeah, and it has a very thick border. I'll just reduce it to like 1 pixel, solid black. Yeah, this is a whole lot better. So now let's give it a padding, so some breathing space there of about 1 em. Yeah, that's better. So like from the example, you have to visualize another element that is coming over this one. So CSS allows you to do pseudo elements like before. This is a syntax. You use double columns and before. There are a lot of pseudo classes. After is one of them. We are going to use before for the example. The content has to be specified as an empty string at the very least. Then I want to set the position of this to absolute. So ultimately, I'm going to have to set this to relative. From basic CSS positioning, when you want to move another element on another element, is advisable to set the parent element as relative and the child as absolute. So that's just what we did there. Then also let's give it a background color so it's quite visible. Okay, then I need to specify the size that I want. So this will help me specify the size that I want. I can do this, then do a right of about 0%. So this is saying from the right, start from the right, start from the top, start from the left, relative to the parent element, start from the bottom, then at the beginning. So that's 0%. So as you can see, we have that. So now I want to move it. CSS, you can do CSS has a transform property that allows you to translate. So you can translate on X or Y axis, which is what, but for this one, I want to move it to the left, which is X axis. So I'll translate it on the X axis. You can use 4M. You see how it goes, or you see it goes that way. When you do a minus, it does the reverse. So it goes to the left. So when you do 4, it goes to the right. Sorry. Then when you do -4, it goes to the left. So I want to take it a bit more out than this. So let's use 7. I think 7 takes it out totally. Okay, that's it. So then the next thing you want to do is you want to hover on this. So do a button such that when you hover on the before element, you see changes. So the first, you have to call the pseudo element first over before you call the pseudo class. What I'm trying to say in essence is this is correct and this is wrong syntax. Wrong syntax will be used during dot button, then before you calling the element rather before the class. Now this is wrong syntax. This would not work. So don't avoid doing this. So you do the over first, then you do the before. So CSS allows you to do transitions. So I want to transition which property, the transform, by let's say 2 seconds, and there's a timing function that you can say ease in or ease out, or whichever one you want depending on your choice. So such that when you hover on before, now you now call the new transform that you want. So this is saying do a transition for which property? For the transform property. That will take about 2 seconds and ease in when you do the transition. So now the new state, this is the initial state. The initial state will be translating X minus 7. So the new state will be, you say, do a new transform now. So this will be then you translate X by, you can say 7 in first. So you see how it works. So when you hover on this, it moves 7M. Then when you on over, it returns back to its former state. So this is what CSS transition allows you to do. Allows you to change a particular property of an element when you fire events like over or focus or active. Those are pseudo classes. When you fire pseudo classes like over, so this is saying the user is triggering an event like, okay, over, then transition. So that's it. So but I don't want it to move this fast, so I can just do 0. So it moves directly on top of the element. Yeah, and I can make this a bit faster. You can play around with all of this. You can take it to 1 second, so it's a bit faster. Or you can take it to 30, that's half a minute. You can take it 0.5 seconds. So that's a bit faster, you can see. Or 1. I think that would be too fast. So let's leave at 0.5. So there you go. So you can write a content for before, like cool button. So you can see the content, it just goes there. But this is not nice. So let's put a padding. The padding for the parent element was 1M. So let's use the same padding. Inherit. Yeah, that's good. So, but this is, then the final thing you want to do is you want the overflow to be set to hidden. So this is an overflow from button. So when you set the overflow to hidden, you don't see it. But when you hover on it, it does the magic. So you can play around with all of this, but it's basically saying transition. Okay, what property are you going to change? You want to transform. So then when you do the transform, it takes this translate X minus 7M as the initial state. Then it takes translate X open bracket, zero aim as the final state. So that's just it. So I hope I've covered everything, and we can see the button is a lot more. Okay, another thing that we can also do is change the cursor. So we can set the cursor for this to pointer. So when you hover on it, it changes to a pointer, and it is nice. So this brings me to the end of the video. So subscribe to my channel. I'll be doing more videos on simple things like this and probably more complex things as time goes on. I hope you all had fun. Bye.